Hi, folks. Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Pardon the disaster. This is my hair. Before we get into it, I do need to pay some bills. The Historical Fencing Guild is made possible in part by the support of our good friends over at the Independent Creator Directory. That's IndieCD.com, your one-stop shop for the best and brightest authors, artists, and musicians. We are also made possible by the sales of several of the apps over on bit.ly/jbtechapps and sales of the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe, and the Simple Spear, all part of our ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you go from having never handled the sword to teaching the art to others. But most importantly, we are made possible by a series of wonderful patrons who, with their generous donations, some as little as $1 a month, help me acquire the funds to maintain the facilities, to acquire the gear that I review, and to acquire things that I then have a habit of passing on to my students. I have the wrong glasses on. One moment. Now, what's on the docket for today? Well, today's docket was supposed to be a mix of Ask Me Anything and a brief state of the guild address. Again, pardon the mess. So we're going to start with the state of the guild situation, and we're going to go from there because there's some advice that is going on at the level that I'm doing this that will help some of you who are building up your own organizations later. So if I can help smooth the road into not only sword mastery, swordsmanship and sword mastery, but the background work of guild mastery. The Historical Fencing Guild will be opening up practices again in about 2 to 3 weeks. I have to double check the calendar. And from there, we will be having practices, workshops. I'm working on getting some demos lined up and getting back into the swing of things. We may even be taking on some new students. I am very excited about that. But before I could do any of that again, I have to do some rather important work. Part of it, and it's something we don't discuss a lot, is making sure that I have a proper waiver. And a waiver is a legal document that you provide your students to basically sign off that they know what you're doing is dangerous and can be damaging to body, to property, and to the possibility of ending someone's life. We must never take light the consequences of martial arts, Western or Eastern, doesn't matter. One of my goals is always to teach you guys to neutralize the threat. Because it should be assess the situation, establish a perimeter, neutralize the threat. Oftentimes, it's establish the perimeter first. I think it should be first, because you can't assess the situation if you're on fire. So establish the perimeter. Make sure you have a safe position to be working from. Assess the situation. Okay? And then neutralize the threats. The threat of legal action being taken against you is a real possibility in America in this litigation days. So if you are going to be engaging in training, especially if you're doing so outside of an organization that provides you a measure of protection, much like it's one thing the society was very good at is making sure that legal protections are in place, we have to have a waiver in place. So I have done a lot of research, and I have, since the last time we met, got a new waiver written, quantitated, and I have actually sent it to a few people to be reviewed. I in the process of setting up the waiver, I realized that we have been orally communicating a lot of the conventions of the Historical Fencing Guild. And conventions in this case are the rules of the list, and on site in general. That means to be able to enact the rules, the boundaries, and of course the ramifications, we need to make certain that everyone's on the same page. Now, that means it further means if somebody is violating the rules and they are hurt, it's further proof that they've done something wrong, not us. This is again all about protecting the base. And since Trelena especially will be giving practices, we will, has been doing stuff. I want to make sure that she has a strong base to build off of for her extended practices. That means I have to codify a lot of things. That means I'm going to be writing down and establishing these all in a format that will be available to people. I will probably actually end up publishing it through like Amazon. That way, I can keep the print costs down, because what I can do is I can publish it through Amazon at the print cost or just barely above for everyone who wants a hard copy of the conventions. So I will be dealing with that. It's going to be a bit. It's a lengthy procedure for me, it's going to take up a lot of my already stressed scheduling for writing and creating and such things, but it is important enough it needs to be done. So that's what I spent related to the guild quite a bit of my time focused on. I am also outside, as weather permits, getting things ready to not only have the list field ready, but in time I want to have the area for forging to be ready and safe and viable. I want to get the range for thrown weapons viable. I want to see if I can test and see what I can do to establish a safe limited archery range on my property. So I have a lot that is in the works. That will be going on as time progresses, parallel with getting people back in shape. The majority of it will be basic rules of minimum protection, our standards, basically our training standards. Because while I've avoided an ranking system per se, I want to have at least a couple tiers. That being student, instructor, and probably a specialist tier. And we're going to build from there. And of course, then, the administrative duties. I don't know. I may have to set up a testing procedure to really codify this. I don't want to, but it may be necessary. So this is something that I'm really looking into to do the right side of what we do. Parallel to that, I will be doing a series of technique videos and training videos that will be Patreon exclusive. They will be accessible to only paid patrons will be able to have access to those videos, and they will be of higher production value. Now, I eventually hope to turn them into something I can sell as a download to further offset the cost of what I'm doing here. Again, to pay for the gear and the armor and the miscellanea. So I will be working on that. I'm sorry, my camera is a little off angle, so it's there we go. If it gets off at an angle, it loses focus. It doesn't like that. So that is what I've been doing, and that's what I will be doing. Um, for my personal development, uh, I've been slowly expanding my drills to get me back into more fighting form. I'm looking forward to that. That means adding a lot of lunges, adding various other positions to my maneuvers, and building up uh, a new codified system of footwork. You know, that it's the same stuff I've been teaching, but phrased differently. Because while I've been, it took me 15 years to write this book. I've had 10 years of using this book almost. Next year it will be the 10th anniversary of The Simple Sword, very early next year, I believe in January 11th, from the publication date of The Simple Sword. Now, I had been on Amazon. I had done earlier than that with prints and, direct use copies, but we're going to go from there. I hope to possibly do a second edition of this to expand and clarify some things. I may add photos. There's a lot going on. I mean, for primary's sake, that's what I look like when I publish this thing. It's been a while, folks. And what you've been teaching people, because that's just with the Simple Sword. I've been teaching people for a quarter of a century here how to go from having never handled a sword to teaching the art to others. And the Simple Sword is the system that's designed to be something of a Rosetta Stone, originally for Western martial artists, that can be picked up from and communicated with Eastern martial artists. So that is something I very much want to have in place. It's very important that that is still the backbone document of what we do. Now, when I wrote that, I was very heavily focused on the rapier as a primary weapon. I am expanding, and I have been, of course, expanded into many, many other weapons from when I started these notes in the turn of the millennium. Because at that time, there were no plain English accessible manuals. In that time, there have been better translations of historical texts, better explanations of historical texts than what existed. Some really great plain language texts and demonstrations from folks like Guy Windsor and from the eastern side of things, Dr. Yang Jwing Ming. So we will be looking into how to step up the quality, do some changes, and I'm excited about that. I also kind of want to do something like a workbook attachment. It's nebulous, it's in the works, but all that's going to be running parallel with my efforts to learn metal crafting better than what I already know and do some forging, not necessarily of just live steel blades and stuff, but of the components, because the cost is so astronomically high to get fully rigged swords. And as I am doing that, I will be demonstrating and showing you guys everything I pick up. We're going to talk about steel trainer maintenance. We're going to talk about plastics trainer maintenance and the do's and do not kind of things. It's going to be interesting, and I hope that this is valuable content for you. I also want to remind you, especially my Patreon members who are listed at the bottom, If you ever would like assistance in the fight choreography for books, uh, other projects you have, so Off in the Woods Frog G, Ronald Rain, Bladed Thesis, Brian K. Morris, Cindy Kep, Steve Augusto, Don Dulas, and Angelina Vaquero Link, plus the individuals who prefer to support me quietly and are longtime supporters, people like John Miner of Swakhammer Metals and Steve Clausen of Boss Blades, whom I haven't heard from in a while because life is a little busy. If any of you ever need, that's part of why we're here. While my primary goal is and has always been to take Western martial arts and present them and adapt them in a way that anyone, regardless of health, gender, ability, wealth, and location, can gain at least something from it. So this is what we're trying to build up. That's where I'm going to be working to build toward. And that is what I've been doing for the last, again, quarter of a century. I've been teaching people, many of them non-traditional students, older students, people with physical limitations, people with traumas that prevent them from receiving normal training, SA survivors, unaliving survivors, a lot of people who've been through some places, because I want them to have the same kind of foundation and support that the Western martial arts have provided me. Now, I say Western martial arts, but please do not think I'm not heavily influenced by Eastern martial arts. I am, but through a different approach than standard. And that is the other side of what the guild is about. The guild is meant, my style is meant to be a basic Rosetta Stone. And from there, people can learn a system that will work. Okay? So think of it as, if you never got to go to Sword Fighting Elementary, this is a way to go to Sword Fighting Elementary. Sword Fighting Primary School. Okay? So yeah, we'll say K through 12 in sword fighting as a concept for the American school system. Then, once you've graduated from that, you have the opportunity to audit and take and possibly even teach other courses and use what you have learned to communicate the ideas both verbally and physically without necessarily getting lost in the vocabulary. I know this is not a standard thing, but I hope it provides insight. All right, now I am going to go to the chat because the other part that was promised for the stream was an Ask Me Anything stream. So I'm going to go through the comments because I always basically ignore the comments for my opening so that you guys can, so I approach everything fresh. I want you guys to see the process as I go through. When I make a mistake, I want you to see me make a mistake. I want you to be able to politely call me on it because that's a type of accountability. I also, if you don't know me well, I have the ability to say 3 little words that just about every other sword streamer I've ever seen has trouble with. I don't know. But you have to understand it's yet and followed up with, but I will find out. Okay? That's why I'm very particular about my position in the guild. My job is to cover everybody's butt. My job is to ensure there's basic training, check on everybody's health, and make sure that every student coming in comes into a safe environment, comes into a supportive environment. That that support comes with accountability for their actions, both positive and negative, and that when they interact with anyone else, they are safe fighters. That's what I do. Um, Beyond that, I like to try to something of an Ollivander of sorts and styles. The way people move, I will recommend different masters, different instructors, different styles, either you know texts or videos, or when I am fortunate enough, individuals, and bring them together so that what happens best is when we have groups of very trained, very passionate individuals essentially giving courses live during practices on whatever given style they are. And it becomes a cross between a practice and a workshop. All right, so let's hit the comments, and then we will fall into your questions, because this is an Ask Me Anything stream. I do this every so often because sometimes people come up with new questions. And first through the door is Foxy. Hello, Foxy. And Thesis is saying, hi, hi, hi. Hello. And Kitty saying, hey, lovelies. Hey, lovies, not lovelies. And Midnight Maharaja. Hello, Midnight Maharaja. I saw you on Never Mind the Furthermore. What's this stream about? This stream was originally set up actively in 2020 to maintain a connection with the guild members who could not interact due to lockdown. And it's sort of matured into a resource. I give news on the guild. I give product reviews. I give, by products, I mean trainers, armor, manuals, books, DVDs. I also help bring up topics of conversation that we can get into as martial artists, because my goal is to create a place where martial artists of any caliber and any style can safely cross-train and stress test their own arts. So we aren't about chasing some kind of championship, although I've done some, award tourneys for the fun of it. It's more about building each other up so that we can go back to our respective organizations and share what's been learned. I spent 12 years in the Society for Creative Anachronism. I was training to be a marshal before I left under, frankly, unpleasant and nefarious circumstances. I have worked with 5 or 6 different major organizations doing demos and presentations and working with people. Numerous groups and clubs and libraries and schools giving, again, demos and basic education into how to sword fight and what it means and what it was about. But as I said, my personal specialty in the guild is working with people who have limitations and teaching them how to find their strengths and build towards them, how to work around their limitations, and to progress, building confidence and stability where needed. We have a lot of fun, and we do related skills. Knife throwing when you're local and above the age of 18. I'll teach knife throwing and axe throwing. I can do this. We can do limited archery again. and that's setting because I live in one of the windiest places in the country. Uh, Again, we cross trade styles, and I continue to develop essentially the elementary to K through 12 version of a basic version of numerous styles. The Simple Sword was written by my studying of dozens of masters, and instead of focusing on what splits them apart so that people can cross-reference and, oh, Caballero says this, but Agrippa says that, and Thibault says this. Uh, the Bartitsu systems say that. Barton says this. No, no, no. I looked at what they all agree on and tried to codify that into a single basic style. So you're getting 80% of a lot of styles all at once, and you find the style that fits your body type, personality, and preferred equipment, along with situation. So this stream is about maintaining that. This is sort of almost the news program side. We do record practices as they are when they are happening. We record demos whenever I can. I rarely record individual training because I want people who are getting in to feel safe to make the mistakes they need to make to learn to get better before they're at that level where they're unveiling themselves. I don't know if that makes sense, but they don't need the extra stress, and I don't need to be worrying about a camera and the maintenance of running the behind the scenes of something like this group and organization. So that's what I think the stream is about. I know it's a very broad situation, but I think it's necessary, and it fills a very unique niche. Let's see. Sarah says, and good evening, Sarah. Oh man, I spoke too soon. My laptop isn't giving me notifications. What was flawlessly doing 30 minutes invest? What the derp? I'm sorry I missed you this morning. That's okay. And this stream actually was set up and got deleted. There were some errors. I got it back up when I went to check maybe a half hour before the stream was actually set to launch. My Friday night streams always have problems because very often I have to leave on Fridays, and I usually am home before 8 to do my stream, but every once in a while traffic or something gets me. And that's why I have to be careful how I schedule it so that the stream doesn't get set up and taken back down. It's a challenge, but we work through it. And you are always welcome. And hello, Botrex, and 0 notifications. I think I covered that. Hey there, I'm first in like here. Okay, for shame, received 0 notifications with laptop. Missed you guys doing this morning. I am sorry to hear that, but we'll just keep on plugging along. And we've got greetings for Sarah. And ooh, Nichols, I want to sell some of those books for you. Well, we will certainly work something out. Evening. Hi, Epic Brother and Gorgeous Foxy, Indigo Lovin' too. All right, you guys are being sweet to each other. And hashtag shameless promoting. Hey, Don, Indigo is busy chomping on his new lap. And martial arts stream. Do you know anything about Indian martial arts? From what I have observed demos of several Indian martial arts. My speech impediment will greatly impact my ability to pronounce the names of a lot of the arts. So I will use Anglified explanations simply because I'll start stuttering really badly over the terminology. That's part of what I bring to the table. That is part of my limitations. But I love the Talwar. I love the Indian approach to sword and buckler especially is elegant. There is a smoothness in the draw cuts in many of the Indian systems I've seen. So I find that fascinating. I do find and pardon my mispronunciation, the Irumi being the whip sword, the flexible swords, or the many whip swords to be terrifying. I don't want to face one. I don't want to wield one. I don't want to be in the same building. I'm not even sure I want to be in the same time zone as one of those. They scare my pants off. But it is fascinating. And I am eager, because I don't know as much about it, to have people who do know bring forward any information and resources they have so that I can learn, because I never stop learning. I'll always be a student. But I love seeing what can be learned from different people, and that conversation, be it a physical discussion as you're sword fighting, or whatever weapons, spear and shield, whatever. I fight with a lot of weapons. Uh, Learning how you approach it would be fascinating for me if that's one of yours. If not, let's find some resources. Let's expand what I don't, what I know about from where I don't know. Because if I can grow in this, I can help others grow in it. And I love that. I hope that answers that question. Fun for my pupper nephew, and training in the works sooner rather than later. Sarah, you should have access to the simple sword. You should be able to start the drills and training with literally any sword simulating object. If you don't have one, let me know, and one will be provided basically as soon as you are stable enough to receive one. It may not be fancy, but it will certainly help you on your journey. And then when practices begin, I can bring you out. The more you already know, the more I can work with. So I'm looking really forward to that. You are one of the new students. I am eager. And guys, I have to get in shape and stay in shape for at least the next 6 years, because I have several of the teenagers from the programs I run just begging to join. However, for insurance reasons and safety reasons, I don't work with anyone under the age of 18. There are a few very special circumstances where I have, and those are literally my relatives or someone who's been close enough to me, and parental presence is always there. Uh, for the safety of myself, I don't like to be in a position where, say, I am alone with a minor unobserved. Not because I would do anything, because God, no, but because that way it's safer for everybody. I was a teacher. I was, yeah, I've been a teacher's aide. I've been a long-term substitute teacher. I've been a job coach. I've spent a lot of time around academia, and I've seen many times very easy it is to have a misunderstanding have to be looked into. So I am very cautious. That being said, you are definitely an adult, so there should be no problem with seeing to your instruction. Can't wait. And I guess I have accountability support back under 200 pounds. Not much, but still under. I'm proud of you. I am sitting around 290 right now, between 280 and 290. I'm trying to step up my stuff and deal with the medicine, because I have a condition, frankly, that doesn't allow me to lose weight properly. It also doesn't allow me to uptake the fat into blood sugar, which is what got me in this place. So I am working through that, hence the intense physical therapy every day. But congratulations, be proud. Congrats, that's wonderful news. I had no clue you could read my messages from both channels. LaDerp, yes, I am currently broadcasting to the Nicholas Talker. I'm sorry, I'm not broadcasting there. I'm broadcasting to the Historical Fencing Guild YouTube. I am broadcasting to the Nick T _artist Twitch, which both of my YouTube channels funnel into my Twitch now. I am broadcasting to the Independent Creator Directory Twitch and the Independent Creator Directory YouTube as a way of bringing some more support to Joe and the others involved with IndieCD. And oh, okay, let's see. Oh yeah, StreamYard shows the chats from everyone except Kick, and that's why I'm not broadcasting to Kick yet. I need to be set up for it, but frankly, my internet would not like me to be watching a Kick stream while trying to do what I do. I'm already pushing the boundaries of my reception's capabilities with every single broadcast. If you're new around here, technology hates me, and there's something called the Nick field, essentially, where tech gets very cranky around me very quickly. And midnight, woot, yeah, brother, lolling it myself, Raffle, and 3. And I'm not sure what. Oh, silly pup, I see. Hi, Indigo. You are currently studying. I will attempt it for your amusement. Again, one, if I say anything that could be taken inappropriately because it sounds like that, I apologize. Khadgavida Vidya. Khadgavidya and Lathikela. Now, is that the one that integrates headbutts with great regularity? No, I'm thinking Lethway. Never mind. No, please. I would love to know more about that. Plenty of things I can use as a trainer, creative endeavors. I bet. And I accidentally closed the tab link to all the books you sent me, Nick. No idea how I managed to wipe out my tabs. It happened trying to pick at word angles. No worries. No worries at all. I can obviously, after the program, send me a message and I will send you the link again to where you can find all sorts of goodies. Okay? And good evening. Good evening, Rex. I hope you're having a fabulous evening. Rex is a phenomenal, we'll say, sport fencer, a classical collegiate style fencer. And he has given me something of a challenge to try to get to go to an open in October. And while I don't think I will be able to afford the gear, I am still trying to see if I can't train myself up to at least be in the physical condition to pull it off. Unfortunately, due to the size that I am currently, finding gear that would actually fit me commercially made would be challenging. It has been challenging, and I'm hoping that as I develop, I can lose enough weight and lose enough, well, mass, volume might be a better way to put it, to be able to fit in traditional gear, because most of my fencing gear is historical fencing gear. But I'm looking forward to this. I don't think like I said, I don't think I'll be able to. I'm not going to lie, but I'm still going to quietly try to see if I can't pull it off. And Sarah's making greetings. And oh, I'm caffeine loaded. You're welcome. Always. Hello, Sarah. Hope all's well. Same to you. Ask me anything. Absolutely. Don said, ask you anything, right? Oh, always. How do you feel knowing that you clicked something in my brain that motivated me to be more serious about my PT exercise, home exercises? For all my shenanigans, I am incredibly reflexively cautious of people's boundaries. So with my friends and stuff, I will flirt shamelessly. I will make jokes, but I also, and I will, nudge, cajole, anything to get you to move forward in life towards your dreams. But I will always have that. Now, have I offended? Have I overstepped in the background? But if I have, through my telling of stories and my own actions inspired you to do something that betters your health and your condition, both mental and physical, let alone spiritual, I would count that as a major triumph. I'm beyond delighted if something I've done or said has caused you to rethink and reevaluate your physical therapy and get back into it. If there is any resource I can give to aid you further along, to be clear, I'm not a medical professional. Uh, let me know, and I will do absolutely what I can. This is Indian swordsmanship. Weapon of choice is the Nepalese kora, and okay, and Lathi Kel is staff play. So what I will be doing, because let me explain, I have trained and sparred with a great many people who do a great many styles, and I am very, very bad at remembering the names of the styles. Now, very often I can imitate a large percentage of what somebody's done if I've seen them fight, but I can't tell you what it's called. My brain doesn't work that way. So I am going to write this down, and I am going to do at some point, probably this coming week, uh, I am going to look into the. Oh, my pen is dying, of course. Of course, my pen is dying. Uh, the systems you've described and see if they look familiar to me and see what I can pick up from it. But I find that fascinating. May I ask the neck of the world that you are actually based out of? I heard through conversation that you went to college with our friend Thesis, but beyond that, I don't know much of you. So please, minor introductions would be very welcome, other than you've studied Indian systems, which I find fascinating. Now, rock on with the link to the books. Writing it down, or I'll forget to message you. I appreciate that, and I certainly we all work around our limitations. I am dyslexic and I have a speech impediment. That's part of why I don't mess around with vocabulary much. But I love seeing styles because then, especially in person, I can say, go through this. Okay, it looks like you have an opening here. How do you deal with that? And we can work with that. Uh, and I'm excited you are taking. I am taking the challenge very seriously. I just, for the people who don't know, I recently was finally, at least in part, diagnosed with severe arthritis of the spine in two places, uh, a type of paralysis, and several forms of nerve damage. Uh, I am doing what I can to improve as I can, but this has put me on a path where it is I will likely lose my mobility um, in the future. I'm just trying to put it, stretch it out a little farther. There will likely come a day where I will go to get up and my legs just won't work. Um, that's just part of it. I have severe carpal tunnel and cubital tunnel in my right hand, and just carpal tunnel in the left. So I have nerve damage in both of those. This is why I focus so hard on preserving what I know and demonstrating it while I can, because while I'm working towards building past it, uh, I know that uh, I know that I may be limited, and I define myself largely in my I define myself largely by the value of use I have to others, which means I have to develop systems that will help me maintain, help others maintain, and that I have the means to demonstrate and earn the respect that when I can physically no longer do things, but I am mentally, I still have the acuity and knowledge to explain technique and address and correct technique. I want to have the groundwork laid where I can do that. Unfortunately, in America, there is not as much respect for in American culture as overall. There's not as much respect for our elders uh, as there is in other uh, countries and other cultures. So there is always this challenge of trying to delay and prevent later imposter syndrome of dealing with the I can't. I, due to some other health issues, I lost the ability to operate my hands. I lost the ability to walk unaided. I lost I lost a lot. So I've been clawing my way back now while still doing instruction as I can for a very long time. And the worst of it being the last few years. The doctors don't understand how. I am operating on faith. I believe in faith and works. So, you know, I say my prayers and get up off my knees and I do the best I can. And that's what's keeping me going thus far. Uh, and let's see. I currently live in the PIE in PEI. I'm sorry. Uh, in Canada, I lived in Utah, India, Nepal, and Mongolia for a very short time. That's fascinating. I hope you can get an interview on Thesis's program because Thesis does interviews quite frequently, and you sound like an incredible person to do an interview with. Uh, so I'd love to see that. Um, that's fascinating because so much of Eastern martial arts are Chinese centered. It's Chinese and Japanese, and I have a lot of ties to Japanese martial arts because of what I had access to, um, and later, and Chinese martial arts out of interest. But a lot of it came from just, I say it, playing patty cake. Half speed or very light sparring with other individuals when I was healthy to see, okay, you do this. What happens to this? What's your response to this? Um, my friend Sword Sage, you guys know him as Sword Sage. He would do his studies and he'd learn some new techniques and he'd come over to my house and go, Nick, I want to show you the new technique I learned. Cool. And we had a 3-part system where first he would demonstrate the technique with complete compliance. Basically, I would do whatever he needed me to do to get me into the position for him to demonstrate whatever the technique is. Then I would demonstrate that we would perform it again with without compliance, but without real resistance or very limited resistance. And then a third time, I would resist with whatever my brain threw out from whatever I cherry picked from the buffet of martial arts. I've walked around with a pair of chopsticks and gone, I like that. I'll take some of that. I'll take some of that. Ooh, that's fun. Uh, and we'd see how it responded to under stressed circumstances, and then we would just spar. And if the technique came up, we would see in real time basically how well it could respond. We had a blast doing this, and I've done this sort of thing with a lot of people of different uh, systems. So you're bringing up stuff I don't know much about. And I am so delighted because that means I'm going to have the privilege to learn more about it. And Kitty says, I think you would like the Cora. It's very Dow-like. I do love a good Dow. A curved sword with a forked or bifurcated tip. I have seen that. And I've seen the style, well, some of the styles using that sword. That fascinates me because now I have a better idea of what you're talking about. Delightful. And Sarah says, you are defying science so far, and I love that, dumbfounding all medical professionals with your already embraced determination and dedication. Thank you. It's not that special. It's more I'm just too stubborn to stay down. His stubbornness for the win. And for sure, that's why BKM healed up as fast as he did too. And even when mobility stops, you will continue to inspire me. So expect me around with this kind of energy for a long time. I love it. Thank you. And so nice to see more diversification. From working with people of all walks of life. That's great. I have to have that in my life. That's great. That is special. Hush. Oh, I'll take your word for it. But that's why it's so much fun. But again, because I have picked up my technique through stress testing what I thought my techniques were and relating them, it's all a mission I call finding your fight. So I teach people a basic system, but the goal is to help them find their fight. So no two students of mine fight the same because they'll all pick up tricks and tendencies from me, but they're all going towards gearing to learn what will work for them and what will expand their direction. Whereas my direction is not so much developing myself to be the peak of any given style, but to develop my ability to teach a broader and even more inclusive approach, more adaptability. So a lot of my growth, ironically, is horizontal, not vertical. And I'm okay with that. That's a good description of the Cora. I even trained with Monk using a wooden dowel. And I heard earlier that Monk is referring to thesis in this statement. Delightful, sir. I do hope you guys at some point thought to record your sparring sessions. And I encourage all of you to record your training, record your drilling, record your demos, record your sparring sessions, record your matches, no matter how goofy it seems. The more you record, the more you can revisit and check your own tapes to see your own progress, good or bad. And from there, you can learn so much. Because the greatest education I have gotten has not been from teachers. It's first from students. Because if you want to learn something, teach it to somebody else. And then from colleagues. Because when ego goes out the window and rank doesn't matter, something magical happens. And what you get is styles that interweave. And people try things. And some people remain purists. They find a style that works for them. They live there. And that's great. Some people become like me. Martial arts buffet. And it's all about finding where you fit in and what will make you better at what you do. Sometimes it's looking into, they do armoring like that. Well, that solves this problem. or I really like that weapon, or wow, you found a gap that my style doesn't defend against because it's not really built to fight that kind of weapon. Now we get to brainstorm how to make it better. And I absolutely geek out about this. It does mean when I try to list my bona fides, sometimes it sounds stuttery and stilted, but that's because of the intermeshed versions of my personal development. I originally trained in Italian fencing. Okay, I originally trained in splitting maul and assorted boken styles before I got into a little bit of Olympic saber about 3.5 lifetimes ago. And then I trained in Italian fencing primarily, and I very rapidly was infected by Spanish fencing, which I love dearly. And that was still influenced by variants of Tai Chi, which I basically started taking the slow, fluid, the katas of Tai Chi and other styles, and going, well, fencing doesn't really have that. They don't instruct that way. And bleeding over and studying the techniques used by heavy fighters and taking pieces from that that work with what I do. So it's fluid. It's somewhere between being water and being clay. It is constantly shaping itself to take a new form. And as has my approach. But beneath that is a foundation. That foundation is what I turned into the simple sword. Uh, it doesn't it doesn't make it easy to explain, but it does make it easy to welcome someone into the conversation. And from there, see, I love helping people in organizations that I'm either not a part of anymore or not a part of at all, because I am not big into live action roleplay. I was SCA, but that aspect of it was my absolute least favorite. I was there to learn skills, associate with interesting people I could learn skills from, and test the skills I was learning. Plus, enjoy the atmosphere. Uh, Rank really didn't matter to me. Politics was irrelevant to me. I just wanted to learn and teach what I knew and just keep passing that on. So that's what I do now outside of the SCA. And I have, again, for 10 years outside of, 12, so 13 years outside of the SCA, roughly. That's okay. That is okay, though. Actually, it might be longer than that. Shoot. I have to do some math, and math is not something I like because the same part of me that's dyslexic does the same thing to numbers. So I'm dyscalculic as well. Basically, my sequence are shot. But yeah, when you can find something that can adapt to training techniques of other styles, it is so rewarding. And if I can build and encourage the enthusiasm of somebody to go and learn, and perhaps encourage discernment of what makes a style good, what makes an educator good, and do so basically as inexpensively as possible for people, uh, I feel I'm doing some good in the world. Take my word for it and like it, all out of love. Yes, ma'am. But wow, that hour has gone fast. It looks like you guys have all fallen pretty quiet, which means I'm going to assume that you have enjoyed this rather rapid fire conversation stream. And this is the place where you can come and ask any questions about styles that I know. If not, give me the research rabbit hole and let me see what I can do with it. Uh, I hope I answered the questions that were given. If there's anything else, you can contact me. There is Facebook has a public group, the Historical Fencing Guild public group over on Facebook. Just look for the boot. You can contact me directly. My information is all in the description, and you can find me all over the place. I hope this was beneficial. So, guys, since oh wait, if you're interested, I highly suggest look. They are fascinating to people who don't know them. That's exactly what I'm planning to do in my leisure. I will be digging up because I suspect I have encountered them. I just didn't know what they were called, or I didn't retain what they were called. So I'm really eager to find out because I do love the Indian. There's a fluidity to the cuts that I've always found beautiful. And I do love a gentle curving sword and what you can do with it outside of my usual fencing based goodness. So thank you. Thank you so much, Midnight. With that, guys, it has been my hour, and I need to have a beverage, and I may need to eat something because it's just that time of night for me. So, guys, thank you. As always, do your drills, keep your eyes open, be kind to yourself and each other, and as always, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. Now, I will be back Monday for Nevermind the Furthermore. The author, artist, creative support stream. And then I will be back here for this show on YouTube over on next Friday. It usually doesn't get set up till within an hour before because of my Friday scheduling. There may be some other videos peppered in as things get done.